David Gordon Green and Danny McBride were at an HBO panel a couple of days ago, and they were asked a few questions about their new show that they're doing together, but they were also asked a couple of questions about Halloween, and some of it we already knew, but quite a bit of it was quite interesting, and I want to discuss that quickly today. That regards the start of the filming of the two movies, which we'll get into in a second, and also what does this mean for the end of the franchise, or the end of Danny McBride and David Gordon Green's original trilogy, or their trilogy, for Halloween, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, and they discussed that in this panel. As it's already been mentioned, they're making the two movies back to back, and they were discussing that in the panel, and David Gordon Green said that we start in September and shoot them back to back. So we know that they're starting to shoot in September. Seems a little bit early for an October release as of next year, because horror movies don't take that long. However, as you already know, it's back-to-back movies that they're shooting, so they need a bit more time to shoot both movies, because it's not just going to be a 100-minute movie they're making, it's going to be a 200-minute movie average, and with that average of 200 minutes they'll split it into two movies. So we start in September with a breather in between, so they'll start shooting for a couple of months, stop for a bit, and then start shooting some more. So that's probably standard. And he's also said, but they'll be out in 2 consecutive years, in 2020 and 2021. You get a breather this year, and then for the next 2 years it's going to be crazy. So yeah, we already knew that, but what we didn't know for definite was when they started filming, and we already know now that that's September. Danny McBride also goes on to explain that they were going to shoot Halloween 2018 back to back with another movie before, and I did watch this interview with Danny McBride and David Gordon Green saying that they wanted to do that, that was their original idea, and they did say that over a year ago, but what they didn't want to do was make a movie or make two movies and it to be a complete and utter failure and to not know where to go with the back-to-back shooting. So they decided to make one movie, put their toes in the water and see how we felt. It wasn't an amazing movie, but it wasn't a bad movie. It was an overall above average Halloween movie, so that gave them the right and the confidence to do back-to-back shooting now. Danny McBride said that was our plan, relaunching it for just one. We wanted it to have a bigger story. We were originally going to even shoot them back to back, but as soon as we got it up and running, we took a look at ourselves and we were like, you know what, we should make sure we can do one of them good before we bite off trying to do 3 of them. So we just put all of our efforts into trying to make the first one land. There was talk right away of us doing more of these. We just needed to get everybody aligned and see if everybody was down with the vision. Luckily everyone is. This was interesting as well. After they made Halloween, they had a lot more ideas and script writing to make a couple more movies, so that's when they put all their heads together, looked at all the scripts that they had that they still didn't explore, and that's how they started off with doing back-to-back sequels in 2020 and 2021. And they went on to say we had ambitions of doing 2 with some big ideas, then decided that we should see if everybody liked one at a time, and if they liked the other one, then maybe we'd build on it. And then when that was successful, our additional ideas that weren't integrated into the first one developed into 2. We've written them and we're ready to go. Danny McBride again went on to mention it's just a continuation of it. It's telling the story moving forward. It's not another reinvention or anything like that. It's this world that we've established, and then it continues beyond the events of the first one. So what he's saying is, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel, they're not trying to do something completely different. They want to stay in line with what they did with Halloween 2018. We might see a few repetitive things that they're not saying that won't happen, but we'll see a few repetitive things, but we want closure with this trilogy that they're making. A couple of other interesting points regarding the title Halloween Ends. They went on to say, I think ultimately Michael Myers is such an iconic character that no one besides Carpenter is ever going to have ownership over him. This will be our chance at the table to play with these characters, and I'm sure that when they're done, other people will come in and do the same thing or have their own reinvention. Michael Myers is iconic enough to allow that too. He's like James Bond. I mentioned that as well, like James Bond, where you can have different actors and different filmmakers. He represents something so simple and scary that he can be translated by lots of different people. So exactly what I said in a couple of videos ago about being not being James Bond, but like a James Bond type character in the horror world, where the stories can just continue on and on and on. You can even have a Laurie Strode, but you'll always have Michael Myers, just like you've always got a James Bond. David Gordon Green also said, with regards to the conclusion of his set of movies, he said, they're never done telling the Frankenstein story. And at this point, Michael Myers is a classic movie monster. I agree with that. But our Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode / Michael Myers saga will be done. The fun of it is also seeing it end and knowing that it can. If you just keep trying to elongate it and milk it for all the money, then that's boring. I'm glad he said that as well, because some people think that they're trying to milk it for all they've got, and they're not trying to do that. They spent $10 million not knowing if the movie was going to be a success in 2018, and it turns out it was a success. They've always said they're milking the Halloween stories, but I think what David Gordon Green is doing is he's bringing an end to the chapter of Laurie Strode, because we are getting sick of Laurie Strode, let's be honest, and he's bringing an end to that chapter. Whether you think that's milking it or not, he's still going to do that. He's still going to finish it, and then thereafter, it's out of David Gordon Green's hands. Somebody else will take over and do something different. And like I said, and like they said, I think a James Bond approach would be the best idea. So that's the latest update, guys. We know that September 2019 is when they start filming. That's only a month and a half away. And we also know that Halloween Ends will be the end of this story of Halloween, whether that be Laurie Strode dying, Michael Myers dying, both of them dying, or none of them dying. Time will tell. But what we can say is nobody's safe. Michael Myers can definitely die and be reinvented in a few years' time, just like James Bond. But I'd like to know your thoughts as well, guys. Do you think the story should end and finish it forever? Or do you like that James Bond approach? Do you like the James Bond idea that anybody can die? That's the good thing about these James Bond ideas. You can kill off Michael Myers at the end of this story and continue on. But that's my thoughts as well. I think that's a good idea. But what do you guys think? Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.